The world had changed much by the year 2467. Giant floating cities moved above the seas and ships sailed without sails, guided by quiet engines of light. Yet even with all this progress, there were still places no one truly understood. Among them was a place that appeared only in old sailor songs and forgotten journals. An island that came from the fog once every 100 years. Some said it was cursed. Others claimed it was a doorway to another age. Most called it nothing more than a legend. Mira never believed in legends. She was an explorer, not a dreamer. Her father had been a sea cartographer who spent his life searching for vanished lands. He died chasing one last rumor, a shadow on the radar far out in the great ocean. After his death, all that remained was his journal and one strange line underlined in red ink. It will rise again in the fog. For years, Mira studied her father's notes. She compared maps, old reports, and deep-sea scans. Every record pointed to one pattern. Every 100 years, strange magnetic signals would rise from the same point in the ocean, then vanish within days. The last occurrence had been exactly 99 years ago. That meant the next event was close. One gray morning, while working in her small observatory near the coast of New Lisbon, Mira's monitor blinked with a red alert. Her heart jumped. The satellite feed from Station 43 had detected something in the middle of the great ocean. A sudden rise of landmass, faint but visible through the fog. She stared at the screen. The island was real. Within hours, she sent messages to her research group. Only 2 answered. One was Leo, a historian who loved ancient myths more than facts. The other was Taro, a calm engineer who trusted machines more than people. Together, they prepared their vessel, the Aurora 9, a small exploration ship built for long sea journeys. Before leaving, Mira looked once more at her father's old compass. The needle didn't point north. It pointed somewhere else, directly toward the coordinates where the island had appeared. She took it as a sign. The journey across the great ocean was long and silent. Thick clouds rolled over the waves, and the horizon seemed endless. On the 5th day, the ship entered a heavy fog unlike any they had ever seen. The world outside turned white and gray. Instruments began to flicker. Taro checked the control panels again and again. "The sensors are acting strange," he said. "Something is interfering with them." Mira nodded, gripping the rail as the Aurora 9 pushed forward slowly. The compass in her hand spun wildly, then froze, pointing straight ahead. Leo stood beside her, excitement shining in his eyes. "If the stories are true," he whispered, "we are about to see something no human has seen in a century." The fog grew thicker. The waves grew still. The air felt heavy, almost alive. Then through the whiteness, Mira saw it. Dark shapes rising from the water like sleeping giants. Towers of black stone worn by time broke the surface of the ocean. The island was emerging. When the ship drew closer, they saw that the shores were made of black sand. Massive cliffs rose behind them, and strange carvings lined the rocks, symbols unlike any known language. The fog hung around the island like a living wall, circling it as if guarding it from the world. "This is incredible," Leo said softly. "These symbols, they look human but different. Older, much older." Taro lowered the anchor. "Instruments are nearly dead. We'll have to go by hand from here." They prepared a small landing craft and stepped into the mist. The air smelled of salt and stone, but there was something else too, an electric scent like air before a storm. As they reached the shore, the fog seemed to move aside, revealing a path of smooth stones leading into the heart of the island. Mira looked around, her voice steady but low. "No birds, no sound. It's completely still." Leo bent down, touching the black sand. "Volcanic," he murmured. "But look, there are footprints here. Deep ones," Taro frowned. "Could they be animal tracks?" Leo shook his head. "Too perfect. Too human." They followed the path, climbing slowly between tall rock walls covered with carvings. Some showed human figures with shining circles above their heads. Others showed massive machines rising from the sea. The more they walked, the more the island seemed alive. Small vibrations ran through the ground beneath their boots. After an hour, they reached a flat plain surrounded by broken pillars. In the center stood a giant stone gate half buried in vines. The carvings on it glowed faintly when Mira touched them. "It's reacting," she said, stepping back. Taro took out a scanner, but it showed nothing. "It's giving off no heat, no light pattern." "Yet it glows." Leo's voice trembled slightly. Do you know what this means? This could be the last remnant of the first human colony that vanished 2,000 years ago. The ancient city of Halros, Mira frowned. Halros was never proven real. Until now, he said quietly. A low hum filled the air. The gate began to vibrate. The carvings shifted like gears turning. The fog above them swirled faster, forming a spiral. Mira's compass started shaking in her hand. Taro shouted, "You're back to the ship." But before they could move, a deep rumble echoed through the island. The ground split near the gate, revealing a dark passage leading underground. Cold air rushed out, carrying the scent of metal and age. Mira looked into the darkness. "It's an entrance," Leo swallowed hard. "We should mark it and return tomorrow." But Mira stepped forward. "No, if we leave, the fog might close again. We might never find this place." Taro hesitated, then nodded. "I'll bring the lights." They entered the passage, their lamps casting pale circles on the stone walls. The tunnel sloped downward, twisting like a spiral shell. Strange symbols glowed faintly under their feet. The deeper they went, the warmer the air became. It was not natural warmth. It felt like the heartbeat of something old still running beneath the island. Finally, they reached a large chamber. The walls were made of smooth metal, untouched by time. In the center stood a platform covered in dust and vines. On it rested a tall crystal pillar humming softly. Taro stepped closer. This is not stone. It's a power source. Still active, Mira placed her hand near it. The hum grew stronger. Lights flickered across the walls, showing old markings, maps of stars, lines connecting worlds. Leo whispered, "They were human. And they left us a message." As they watched, symbols rearranged themselves, forming a single phrase in the ancient human language. "To those who return, remember what was lost." A chill ran down Mira's spine. The fog outside howled like a living thing, and the island trembled again. The crystal pulsed brighter, and the ground shook. Taro shouted, "We have to leave now." They ran up the passage as dust and stones fell around them. When they reached the surface, the fog had thickened again. The sea around the island glowed faintly blue. From far away, their ship's lights were flickering, almost fading in and out. Mira turned to look at the gate one last time. The carvings were no longer glowing, but faint echoes of light danced across the stones like a heartbeat slowly fading. Leo panted, his voice shaking. "This place, it's alive." Mira held the compass in her hand again. The needle pointed straight at the island, steady and unmoving. She whispered to herself, "It was never just a legend. It was waiting." As they climbed back into their craft and pushed off from the shore, the fog began to close behind them like a curtain. The island disappeared from view, but the humming in the air stayed in their ears. When they finally reached the Aurora 9, Taro turned to Mira. "What do we tell the world?" Mira looked back at the empty fog. "We tell them the truth," she said. "The island is real and it's waking up." Far behind them, deep under the waves, the pulse of the island continued, slow, steady, and growing stronger. And somewhere within the fog, an ancient machine began to glow again, as if sensing that humanity had finally returned. The ocean was calm, but the silence around the Aurora 9 felt heavy. Mira stood on the deck, watching the thick wall of fog behind them where the island had vanished once more. The sun had begun to rise, painting the sea in shades of silver and gold. Yet the fog stayed dark like a wound in the world. Leo leaned against the rail beside her, still breathing hard from the last night's run. "It felt alive," he said quietly. "The island wasn't just stone. It was watching us." Taro, working near the control deck, looked up. The power readings from the core chamber were too stable for ruins. "Whatever we found down there, it's still running after hundreds of years. That's not normal machinery." Mira nodded slowly. "It's not dead. It's waiting." The rest of the day passed in uneasy silence. The ship's instruments kept flashing random signals. The compass still pointed toward the fog even though the island was no longer visible. Every attempt to contact their research base failed. It was as if something was blocking their signals completely. That evening, when the sky turned red, a strange vibration passed through the ocean. The water rippled in perfect circles as though something enormous moved deep below. The fog began to shift again. Mira gripped the railing. "It's rising again. The island is calling us back." Leo stared at her in disbelief. "We barely made it out alive last time. But this may be our only chance," she said firmly. "If the island disappears again, it won't return for another century." Taro checked the scanners. There's a pulse coming from beneath the ocean floor. It matches the crystal frequency we recorded inside the chamber. It might be a signal. A signal? Leo asked. Yes, Taro replied, but not to us. It's calling something or someone. Mira looked at both of them. Then we need to find out what it's calling. The next morning, they returned through the fog. This time, they followed the pulsing signal. The fog moved aside in waves as if guiding them. The black cliffs appeared again, their shapes glowing faintly in the mist. But something had changed. The carvings on the rocks were now bright with light running like veins of silver through the stone. The air felt warmer, almost charged with energy. When they landed on the beach, the sand was no longer black but dark blue like melted glass. Leo whispered, "It's alive again." Mira led the way up the stone path. The giant gate that had opened before was now glowing fully, its carvings shifting in slow motion. Strange sounds echoed around them, soft humming mixed with whispers like voices from a great distance. Taro adjusted his recorder. The air is full of data frequencies. It's almost like the island is speaking through the atmosphere. They passed through the gate and followed the tunnel they had entered before, but this time the path was bright, and they could see clearly the walls lined with long crystal pipes filled with glowing liquid. The ground vibrated with a deep pulse that matched the rhythm of their hearts. As they reached the main chamber, the crystal pillar they had seen before was brighter than ever. The air around it shimmered like heat waves. When Mira stepped forward, the pillar changed shape. Soft lights formed circles in the air, and then a faint holographic figure appeared. It was a human figure, tall and calm, dressed in old explorer gear. Its face was kind but slightly transparent. The hologram spoke in an ancient tone, its voice deep and clear. "Descendants of Earth," it said, "you have returned to Halros." Leo froze. "Halros, the lost city." Mira took a step closer. "Who are you?" "I am the guardian of Halros," the figure replied. "A remnant of those who built this island. You have awakened the heart." "The heart?" Taro asked. "The island itself," the guardian said. "Halros was created to protect the knowledge of humankind after the Great Silence, the time when the stars fell and many worlds were lost. We preserved what we could in the deep core. For a century, the island sleeps hidden from all eyes until those of human blood return to reclaim it." Mira exchanged glances with her team.
You mean...
"This place was made by humans." The hologram nodded. "Yes, by your ancestors long before the wars that burned the skies. We carried the legacy of Earth across the stars. But we failed to return, so we left behind a memory, a world to remember what we were." Leo's voice trembled. "If this island remembers humanity, why did it call us now?" "Because," said the guardian, "the heart senses danger again. The same darkness that once erased the old worlds has begun to move. You must prepare." Mira frowned. "We came here to learn, not to fight." "You will learn," said the guardian, "but knowledge is a weapon too." The chamber lights brightened and the floor beneath them opened slowly. A hidden passage revealed a circular platform descending deeper into the island. The guardian gestured toward it. "Come, you must see what remains below." They stepped onto the platform and it began to move downward with a soft hum. The tunnel around them glowed with symbols that changed as they descended. After a few minutes, the platform stopped in a vast underground hall. Rows of metallic structures filled the space. Machines, drones, and strange floating orbs, all covered in dust but still faintly glowing. Taro looked around in awe. These are not ruins. They're dormant machines. They look ready to work. The guardian appeared again beside them. "This is the core vault. Here lies the memory of 1,000 human worlds, cities, inventions, voices, and songs. Everything that was lost above the stars." Mira touched one of the orbs gently. Images flickered to life around her. Pictures of old Earth. Humans walking under blue skies, children running across grass fields, people working in massive starships. The sight filled her heart with wonder and sadness. Leo whispered, "They remembered everything." The guardian spoke again. "The heart of Halros was built to wait until your kind was ready to rise again. But the time has come sooner than expected. The pulse you felt was not only the awakening, it was a warning." "Warning of what?" Mira asked. "The great fog is not just mist," said the guardian. "It is a shield that protects the island from those who wish to destroy what remains. But now the shield is weakening. Others beyond your world have sensed the awakening." "They are coming!" Taro's face turned serious. You mean something from space? Yes, the Guardian said. They are not human. They are what remains of those who once sought to erase humanity. The heart must be protected. Mira's voice was steady. Then we protect it. Tell us what we must do. The Guardian looked at her for a long moment. Courage runs in your blood. You will lead. The core will obey you as long as you remain true to human will. As the words faded, the lights of the machines grew stronger. The entire hall began to move. The sleeping drones rose into the air, their eyes glowing blue. The hum of the island grew louder, echoing through the tunnels above. Leo stared in amazement. We just woke up an army. Not an army, the Guardian corrected. A defense. Mira turned to her team. We'll study everything we can. Taro set up scanners. Leo, start translating every marking. We don't know how much time we have. They worked for hours, mapping the hull and recording data. The machines seemed to respond to their presence, opening sealed doors and lighting pathways as if recognizing them. The fog above the island thickened again, glowing faintly from the energy rising below. As night approached, Mira climbed back to the surface. The sky above the fog was filled with stars. For the first time in her life, she felt that the universe was watching. Leo joined her quietly. Do you think your father ever imagined this? She smiled faintly. He believed in the island when no one else did. Maybe he knew it was waiting for us. Taro came up from the tunnel, his expression uneasy. We have a problem, he said. The scanners just picked up movement outside the fog. Several unidentified ships. They're not from Earth. Mira's face hardened. Then it's true. The Guardian was right. She looked out into the mist where the ocean met the night sky. The fog shimmered like a living wall, protecting the sleeping island behind it. The world thought the island was just a legend, she whispered. But legends always wake when they're needed. Far beneath their feet, the heart of Halros pulsed once more, stronger than before, as if the island itself was preparing for what was coming. And above the clouds, in the darkness of space, unseen eyes had already turned toward Earth's forgotten secret. The night on the island was colder than before. The fog that once glowed gently now flickered like it was alive, breathing with the rhythm of the ocean. Mira stood near the cliffs, staring toward the distant horizon where faint red lights moved slowly in the sky. They were not stars and they were not satellites. They were ships. Leo joined her, carrying a small scanner in his hand. They're closer now, he said. I counted 6 of them, maybe more. They're not following any known human signal. The Guardian was right. Something out there has noticed the island's awakening. Taro stepped out of the tunnel, his face serious. Our communication systems are still blocked. We can't warn the mainland. Mira nodded slowly. Then we defend what we can. The 3 of them returned to the underground chamber where the Guardian's hologram waited, standing calm amid the glowing machines. The light from the crystal pillar cast long shadows across the floor. Mira spoke first. The ships are coming. You said the fog protects the island. Can it stop them? The Guardian's form flickered slightly. For a short time, yes. But the shield grows weak. The intruders are from beyond the old human colonies. They seek what remains of our knowledge. They will not stop. Taro asked, can we strengthen the fog? There is a way, the Guardian said, but it requires full activation of the heart. The process will draw energy from deep within the planet's crust. Once started, it cannot be stopped. Leo frowned. What happens if it fails? The Guardian's voice grew softer. Then the island will sink again, forever. Mira looked at her team. We can't let that happen. Not after everything we've seen. This island carries our history, our proof that humanity once reached the stars. Taro nodded. Then let's do it. The Guardian turned toward the glowing wall. Follow the light. The core chamber awaits. They descended deeper into the island through narrow tunnels lined with crystal veins that pulsed like blood through a living body. The air became warmer, filled with a low hum that made their bones vibrate. The tunnel opened into a vast cave, far larger than the previous halls. In the center stood a massive sphere of light floating above a pool of molten energy. The ground around it was covered in circular platforms, each one marked with glowing symbols. The sphere pulsed slowly as if breathing. Taro stared in awe. This must be the heart. The Guardian's voice echoed through the chamber. This is the life of Halros. It holds the knowledge and memory of every human who once walked these lands. To awaken it fully, you must connect your life signal to it. The heart will recognize your code. Mira stepped forward. You mean, it needs a human link? Yes, said the Guardian. Only one who carries human origin can wake it completely. Mira hesitated for a moment, then placed her hand against the nearest platform. The surface glowed under her touch. A soft hum filled the air and the heart's pulse grew faster. Taro shouted over the noise, "It's working! Energy levels are rising!" But before they could celebrate, the ground shook violently. The Guardian's hologram flickered, its voice turning urgent. "They are here!" Above the island, the fog began to twist violently as 6 dark ships broke through the clouds. They were sleek, silent, and black as night, moving in perfect formation. Strange blue lights glowed along their sides. The fog tried to resist, wrapping around them like chains of smoke. But the ships pushed through, sending shockwaves across the ocean. From their hulls, smaller craft detached and began descending toward the island. Their shapes were sharp and insect-like, gliding silently through the air. Leo watched from the cliffside, his heart pounding. "They're landing." Mira's voice came through his communicator. "Stay near the upper tunnels. We'll activate the shield from below. You and Taro keep them busy if they breach the surface." Leo nodded. He grabbed one of the small defense drones that had awakened earlier. The machine followed him, its blue light shining like a guardian spirit. Together they ran toward the ridge overlooking the beach. The first alien craft landed with a soundless flash. Strange figures stepped out, tall, covered in metallic armor that shimmered like liquid. Their faces were hidden behind dark masks and their movements were smooth and precise. Leo whispered, "They're not robots. They're alive." The aliens spread out, scanning the area with glowing rods that emitted soft light. One of them pointed toward the cliff and a thin beam of energy shot past Leo, cutting into the rock beside him. He ducked behind a boulder and activated the drone. The small machine floated up and fired a bright pulse of energy toward the attackers. The blast threw dust into the air, forcing the aliens to retreat for a moment. Deep below, the heart of Halros glowed brighter and brighter. Mira's hands trembled as she focused. "How much longer?" she shouted. Taro checked the readings. "The heart is at 70%, but it's draining power fast. If it overloads, the whole island could collapse." The Guardian's voice echoed again. "Hold your ground. The island must awaken completely. Only then can the shield protect your world." Mira gritted her teeth. "Then we finish this." She pressed her hand harder against the platform. The energy surged through her body like a current of fire. Images flashed before her eyes. Cities of light, humans walking among stars, the birth of Halros itself. She saw the moment when the ancient humans built this place, hiding their last hope beneath the ocean to wait for their descendants. Taro watched as the heart's glow turned golden. "It's responding to her. It's reading her memories." The Guardian spoke softly, almost like a prayer. "She is the link." On the surface, Leo and the drones fought desperately. The aliens had spread across the cliffs, scanning and destroying everything in their path. The fog began to flicker weaker as the shield thinned. Leo shouted into his communicator, "Mira!" "They're breaking through!" Mira's voice came through strained. "Hold on just a little longer." Suddenly, the heart pulsed once, then twice, then exploded in a wave of light that spread through every tunnel, every wall, every stone. The island shook violently. The aliens stopped moving. Their scanners failed. The fog above the island turned into a storm of glowing light that rose high into the sky, wrapping the ships completely. Leo fell to the ground, covering his face as the light grew brighter and brighter. When it finally dimmed, the alien ships were gone. Only the sound of the sea remained. Inside the core chamber, Mira collapsed to her knees. The light around her slowly faded to a calm glow. The Guardian appeared again, its form more stable now, its voice filled with quiet pride. "It is done," it said. "The heart of Halros is fully awake." Taro rushed to Mira's side. "Mira, are you all right?" She opened her eyes slowly, her voice weak but steady. "I saw them. The first humans. I saw how they built this place. They didn't hide here out of fear. They built this island to keep hope alive." Leo entered the chamber a few minutes later, covered in dust. "They're gone," he said. The ships disappeared in the fog. "I think the island sent them away." The Guardian turned to them. "The heart now protects you. It remembers all that was lost and shields all that remains. You have restored the island's purpose." Mira stood, looking at the glowing sphere. "What happens now?" "The heart will sleep again," the Guardian said. "But this time it will not vanish. It will wait beneath the waves, guarding its knowledge. When humanity is ready to rise again among the stars, Halros will return." Taro sighed with relief. So it's safe. For now, the Guardian replied. But the stars are not quiet. Others will come. You must carry what you have learned and prepare your kind for what lies ahead. Mira nodded slowly. We will, I promise. As dawn broke, the island began to sink once more. The fog rolled in silently, covering the cliffs and the black sands. Mira, Leo, and Taro stood on the deck of the Aurora 9, watching as the last peak disappeared beneath the water. Leo whispered, Do you think anyone will believe us? Mira smiled faintly. It doesn't matter. We know it's real. And we'll make sure the world remembers. Taro looked at the horizon, where the sea met the bright morning sky. Maybe that's what the island wanted all along, to remind us who we are. The fog shimmered one last time, and then the ocean grew still. The compass in Mira's hand spun once before freezing again, pointing toward the empty waves. The island will sleep, she said softly, but not forever. Far beneath the surface, in the quiet dark, the heart of Halros glowed like a sun waiting to rise again. Its pulse echoed through the deep waters, a promise that humanity's story was far from over. The ocean had returned to its calm rhythm, but the memory of the island lingered in the minds of Mira, Leo, and Taro. The Aurora 9 drifted gently, carrying them back to the nearest floating city. Even with the heart of Halros active beneath the waves, the world above remained unaware of what had happened. Mira sat in the small observation room, staring at the endless horizon. The fog had swallowed the island again, leaving only waves and sky behind. Her mind replayed everything they had seen, the glowing pillars, the core chamber, and the heart itself. Leo joined her quietly, holding a digital tablet filled with scans and recordings from the island. The carvings, the machines, the heart. It's all a message, he said. Not just a warning, but a lesson. We're supposed to learn from it. Mira nodded. We've seen the proof. Humanity has done more than we ever imagined. Now it's up to us to remember it and to use it wisely. Taro approached from the deck holding a small glowing orb they had retrieved from the heart chamber. This orb contains a map, he said. A star map. It shows the locations of old human colonies and maybe even the coordinates of lost civilizations. Leo's eyes widened. Do you mean Halros was a repository of human knowledge scattered across the stars? Taro nodded. Yes, every planet they colonized, every invention, every discovery, they left traces. And the heart kept all of it safe, waiting for us. Mira placed her hand on the orb, feeling a warmth that spread through her body. This is more than technology. It's hope. It's a reminder that we can rise again, stronger than before. Back at the floating city, the team set up a small research lab. Scientists and historians gathered to help decode the recordings and maps from the island. It was the first time anyone had access to data from a civilization that had been lost for thousands of years. Leo worked tirelessly, translating symbols and holographic recordings. Some of these languages predate any known human script, he explained. It's as if the people of Halros were creating a universal language for the future. Taro focused on the technology. These machines, they aren't just for energy. They can manipulate gravity, produce clean power, and even repair ecosystems. Mira watched both of them, realizing the magnitude of what they had discovered. The island didn't just survive for us. It survived for all of humanity. It was a gift. Weeks passed and the research progressed. The team found detailed instructions for creating energy fields, advanced ships, and devices capable of defending planets. Each discovery seemed impossible, yet the evidence was there. One night, Mira stayed late in the lab looking at the star map projected from the orb. She noticed a cluster of stars marked differently from the others. Leo, she called softly. Look at this. These coordinates, they're not just planets. They're warnings. Leo hurried over, peering at the projection. Warnings? Yes, Mira replied. The heart showed us the islands, the colonies. But these points are different. Maybe the same forces that threatened humanity before are still out there. Taro joined them, his eyes serious. Then the heart didn't just preserve knowledge. It prepared us. It wanted us to be ready. Leo shook his head in wonder. Imagine that. A civilization from the past guiding the future, waiting for us to wake up. As months passed, humanity slowly absorbed the lessons of Halros. Ships were redesigned using the island's instructions. Energy grids were rebuilt using the clean and powerful systems recorded by the heart. Scientists marveled at the drones and devices left behind. They could analyze planets, repair damaged environments, and even predict cosmic events. Mira and her team became the leaders of the project, coordinating with the world's governments and research centers. Every step forward reminded them of the island's message. Knowledge was a responsibility, and power must be guided by wisdom. Leo continued his translations, discovering stories of humans who had once traveled beyond the stars, planting colonies and protecting them from unknown threats. They were explorers, guardians, and teachers, he said. They wanted humanity to survive no matter what. Taro, meanwhile, worked with engineers to recreate the heart's protective field. It's not just defense, he explained. It's awareness. The field detects threats before they arrive and adapts to them. It's like a shield that thinks. One day, while Mira was reviewing the star maps, the orb pulsed softly. A new projection appeared, a small hologram of Halros itself rising from the ocean in the middle of a misty horizon. The light shimmered, showing the island in motion, as if it were alive once more. The Guardian's voice echoed through the projection. The heart of Halros is always awake. It waits, but it is patient. Your kind has learned. Now it is time to prepare for what lies beyond your skies. Mira's eyes shone with determination. We're ready, she whispered. Leo looked at her. Do you think anyone will believe us when we tell them? Not everyone, Mira said. But the people who matter will see the proof soon enough. And even if they don't, we have the knowledge. That's enough. Taro joined them, looking at the island projection. The heart guided us. It saved us from repeating the mistakes of the past. But it also showed us something else, our potential. Humanity is capable of more than we ever imagined. Mira nodded. Yes, we are not just survivors. We are the heirs of a civilization that once touched the stars. And now, we can reach them again. The team continued their work, building prototypes and testing systems. Every new device, every new calculation was guided by the ancient knowledge of Halros. They discovered ways to harness energy from stars, travel faster than light, and communicate across galaxies. Leo discovered hidden archives within the data, records of missions and expeditions undertaken by ancient humans. Some had explored faraway star systems, establishing colonies that had long been thought lost. Others had fought unknown threats, ensuring that humanity could survive. These people were brilliant, Leo said, his voice filled with awe. They created Halros not just to survive, but to prepare us for the future. Every invention, every map, every machine. It was a gift, Taro added, and now it's our turn to use it wisely. We must protect it and expand our knowledge. We can't let it fall into the wrong hands. Mira looked at both of them, her eyes shining with resolve. We will. Halros gave us hope. And hope is stronger than fear. Months turned into a year and humanity began to change. With the guidance of Halros, cities became more sustainable. Energy was no longer a problem, and the first new starships were ready for launch. Scientists used the heart's knowledge to understand distant worlds and predict cosmic events that had once been mysteries. The team returned to the ocean several times, scanning the spot where the island had vanished. Each time the fog remained silent. The island hidden beneath the waves, but the heart pulsed faintly, reminding them it was still alive. Mira often stood on the deck of the Aurora 9, staring at the horizon. The island will return, she said to Leo and Taro one evening. And when it does, humanity will be ready. Leo smiled. We've learned more than anyone could imagine. Halros was patient, waiting for the right time. And now it's our time. Taro looked up at the stars. The universe is vast. There are threats, yes, but there are also opportunities. Halros showed us that humanity can rise again, stronger, wiser, and united. Mira nodded. We must carry this knowledge forward. Not just for us, but for everyone who comes after. Halros was never just an island. It was a promise. As night fell, the heart of Halros pulsed faintly beneath the waves, sending out signals across the oceans and skies. The island remained hidden, shrouded in mist, but its influence spread through humanity's new technology and new hope. The Guardian's voice echoed softly in their minds. You have awakened the heart, you have learned. Protect it and humanity will rise among the stars. Mira closed her eyes, feeling the pulse of the heart resonate through her. We will, she whispered. We will make you proud. And far away in the darkness of the ocean, the island waited, waiting for the day when humanity would be ready to journey to the stars, to explore new worlds, and to reclaim its legacy as a civilization of courage, knowledge, and hope. The ocean was calm, and the horizon stretched endlessly, kissed by the first rays of dawn. Mira stood on the deck of the Aurora 9, watching the gentle waves, her mind racing with all that had happened. Humanity had gained more than knowledge. They had regained hope. They had the heart of Halros guiding them, a beacon of power and wisdom from an ancient civilization, ready to help them reclaim their place among the stars. Leo joined her, holding a tablet filled with the latest reports from the research teams around the world. "The cities are adapting fast," he said. "The new energy systems are online, the starships are ready, and the drones from Halros are already exploring distant planets. The Heart's knowledge is spreading faster than we imagined." Mira nodded. "It's more than technology," she said softly. "It's a chance to show the universe who humanity really is. Not just survivors, but creators, explorers, and protectors." Taro came up from the deck holding a small orb that pulsed faintly in his hand. "The Heart is sending signals," he said. "It's guiding us toward the first colony we should reconnect with. According to its star map, these worlds were once human, but now they may be lost or in danger." Mira's eyes narrowed. "Then that's where we go. We can't waste a moment. Humanity must rise again, and we start with them." The Aurora 9 was refitted with new systems from Halros. Energy fields allowed it to glide above the water at incredible speed, while small drones acted as scouts, scanning the skies and seas. The ship now carried a small team of scientists, engineers, and historians, all chosen for their ability to understand and use the Heart's technology. As they sailed toward the coordinates, Mira felt a thrill she had never known. The ocean stretched endlessly, but in her mind she saw a map of stars, planets, and forgotten human colonies. They were no longer just explorers. They were inheritors of a legacy that had waited centuries to be claimed. Leo checked the scanners. "We're approaching the first system," he said. "The signals from Halros are strongest here. It's faint but alive. Someone or something is there." Taro frowned. "Sensors also show unusual energy signatures. Could be natural phenomena or another threat." Mira's hand rested on the control panel. "Either way, we face it. That's what Halros prepared us for." They entered the system, and the first planet came into view. It was a small world with blue oceans and green continents. But there were signs of damage. Cities lay in ruin, and clouds of smoke rose from large scars on the surface. Leo's voice trembled. These were human colonies. But something happened here. They've been abandoned or attacked. The Aurora 9 descended, its energy shields protecting it from debris and unstable storms. As they landed near the largest city, drones spread out, sending data back in real time. Mira led the team into the city, their footsteps echoing across empty streets. Buildings were crumbled, but signs of life remained. Robots left behind by the old colonists were still functioning, maintaining small areas of the city. The drones began repairing power lines and restoring light in the central plaza. Taro studied a control panel. They had technology similar to Halros, but it's older, weaker. Halros preserved more than just knowledge, it preserved the standard for survival. Leo examined the walls. There are messages written in the ancient human code. They warn of attacks, of creatures that came from the void seeking to destroy these colonies. The survivors, they fled, leaving the cities behind. Mira clenched her fists. Then we're not just exploring. We're reclaiming what was lost and defending it. For the next days, the team worked tirelessly. Using the drones and guidance from the Heart, they repaired buildings, restored energy systems, and revived communication networks. Slowly, the planet began to come alive again. Then the warning came. Sensors detected movement in the upper atmosphere. A fleet of dark ships similar to the ones that had attacked the Heart before. The aliens had followed the signal from the Heart, seeking to strike humanity's resurgence before it could grow. Leo's voice was tense. "They're coming for us, Mira, just like before." Mira nodded, her eyes sharp. "Then we fight. But this time, humanity will not run. Halros has given us the means to protect ourselves. And more." Taro activated the defense grid. Energy fields rose above the cities, shimmering with golden light. The drones formed formations in the skies, scanning for incoming ships. Mira led the team to the control hub where they could coordinate the defense. The first wave of alien ships appeared, dark silhouettes against the stars. They moved silently with precise coordination, firing pulses of energy that shattered the clouds and rocked the surface. But the city's defenses held. The energy shields absorbed the attacks, and the drones countered with bursts of light that disabled the alien vessels one by one. As the battle raged, Mira realized something. The heart of Halros had not only given them technology, it had given them strategy. The drones moved in patterns predicting the alien movements while the shields adjusted automatically. The alien ships were powerful, but they were unprepared for a coordinated defense guided by the heart. Leo shouted from his console. "The drones are pushing them back. They can't penetrate the shields." Taro grinned. "The heart knows their tactics before they even make them. It's almost like it's alive." Mira's hands moved over the control panel, directing energy to weak points in the alien fleet. She felt a connection to the heart pulsing through her. Stronger, faster, as if it recognized her determination. One by one, the alien ships faltered. Some retreated, unable to breach the defenses. Others were forced to crash into the planet's atmosphere. The remaining vessels hovered at the edge of the system, wary of the heart's power. Finally, silence returned. The planet glowed with the restored light of its cities, and the drones hovered over the terrain, maintaining order. Mira looked out over the city, her heart swelling with pride. "We did it," she said softly. "The colony is safe. Humanity has returned." Leo smiled, exhausted but happy. "And we did it together. The heart of Halros guided us, but we made the choices." "That's what it wanted," Taro nodded. "The first colony is reclaimed. There are more out there waiting for us, and Halros will guide the way." Mira turned to her team. "Then we continue. We rebuild, we reclaim, and we prepare. The universe is vast, but we are stronger now. Humanity has a legacy worth protecting, and we are its guardians." Weeks later, the team left the planet, leaving behind fully functional cities and autonomous drones to maintain them. The heart of Halros continued to pulse beneath the waves of its hidden island, its energy reaching across light years, guiding humanity toward the stars. Mira stood on the deck staring at the endless night sky. "We've done more than survive," she said. "We've shown that humanity can rise again stronger than before." Leo joined her, gazing at the constellations. "The stars were always within our reach. Halros just reminded us that we are meant to explore, to create, and to protect." Taro smiled. "And we have the knowledge, the courage, and the heart to do it." Mira looked at the horizon where the faint shimmer of distant worlds awaited. "Then we go forward. We reclaim what was lost and we build a future for all of humanity. The island gave us hope, and we carry it with us now." The heart of Halros pulsed beneath the oceans, a silent promise to humanity. It had waited for 100 years, guarding knowledge, power, and wisdom. Now, with Mira, Leo, Taro, and the people of Earth, its purpose was renewed. The island would appear again in a century, as it always had. But this time, humanity would be ready. They had learned, adapted, and grown. They were no longer merely survivors of the past. They were the stewards of a legacy that could reach the stars. Mira held the glowing orb from the heart in her hands. The pulse of energy matched the beat of her heart. She whispered, "We are ready. Halros has given us the chance and we will not fail." Leo placed a hand on her shoulder. "Together we can face anything. The universe is vast, but we are humanity. And humanity will rise." Taro looked toward the distant stars. "The heart is alive. The colonies are safe, and our journey has just begun." Mira smiled, feeling the weight of centuries lift from her shoulders. "Then we go forward. For the lost colonies, for our ancestors, and for the future of humanity. The stars are waiting, and we will meet them. Far beneath the waves, the heart of Halros glowed brightly, sending signals across the oceans, the skies, and the universe itself, a beacon of hope, power, and knowledge. Humanity was no longer alone. They had awakened, reclaimed their legacy, and were ready to step into the cosmos. The island sank once more into the depths, hidden beneath the fog, but its influence now stretched across the stars. Humanity carried its promise forward, stronger, wiser, and united. The story of the vanished civilization had become the story of a reborn humanity. And in the silence of space, the pulse of the heart continued, steady, strong, and eternal.